Good afternoon, everyone. Today, myself and Stephanie are here to tell you about digital open badges, what they are, how you could go about designing them for yourself, and why you should be using them. So we're all familiar with the concept of badging. It's been around for a while. You see it in the military and in the scouts and in gaming. Digital open badges are basically a virtual version of this. Not to be confused with the term digital badges, which is what you would earn if you were playing your Candy Crush saga or something like that. Digital open badges are slightly different, and the word open is significant, and I'll come to that now in a little while. So this is just basically a definition of it. It's an online method of validating informal learning and achievements in education and professional development. So it's a means to award those soft skills and different things that people might do for CPD or that students would do as part of their student union activities. And it's definitely becoming, it's an emerging field that's fast becoming a very much established thing in educational institutions and workplaces today. So it was originally devised by Mozilla in 2011. Mozilla designed the infrastructure and the open standard to go with the badges for designing them and issuing them. And they made this infrastructure and standard openly available for everyone. So anyone can design a badge. You can design it whatever way you want. You can issue it to anyone you want as you see fit. So then you might think, what's the value in that? You know, if anyone can do it, then how can you regulate it? How do you know if it's any worth? Badges are much more than just a visual image. There is critical information behind them as well. And the information contains three things. First of all, it contains criteria. So it lists what exactly the person had to do in order to earn the badge. It also contains information about who the issuer was as well. And then thirdly, it has evidence, so a link to something that shows evidence that the earner did in fact do what they were supposed to do in order to earn the badge. So when an earner will share this badge on a public platform, for example, LinkedIn or Twitter, and a potential employer or someone might click on the badge in order to see what it's about, this is what they will see, something like this. So you can see the visual is there, but also you see the metadata that comes with it. This is a badge that we used in a project that we were working on together, so it's an example of what criteria we put with it. In this case, it was awarded by the Western Regional Section of the Library Association of Ireland. You can see the criteria listed there. In this case, the earner basically had to set up a blog. And then down the end, the evidence is a link to that person's blog. So just to give you a little bit of background on the project that we were working on where we use these badges, we used them for an online learning program for librarians called Rudaí 23. I know there's a few people in the room who are doing it and a few people who have contributed to it. We used the badges for the second iteration of this course. We ran it in 2014 as well. And it's based on a program called 23 Things. So there are 23 modules, all tailored towards librarians. And in the first iteration of the course, the participants had to complete tasks for all 23 modules and write a blog post for each of those 23 modules. So there was a huge amount of work involved in it. So when we were planning the second run of the course, pretty much exactly a year ago, we wanted to look at what we had done in the previous one and what we could do better. So what we discovered with the last course was that a lot of people did some of the course or almost finished but didn't quite finish. And anyone that didn't finish it completely got nothing from it. They didn't get any recognition. Some people even went up as far as Thing 20 or Thing 21 and then stopped and got nothing at the end of it. Also, the people that did finish the course did an enormous amount of work in order to finish it, and what they got at the end of it was an LAI certificate, which is fantastic and everything, but we felt it didn't properly reflect the amount of work that went into the course. So we wanted to address both of those. So first thing we did was we broke down the course into 4 sections, and we designed a badge for each of those sections. So immediately the course became far more achievable for people. Secondly, the badges properly reflected the work that was gone into doing the course. As you can see for here, we have the 5 badges here. 4 of them are for the sections, and both the name of the badge and the criteria of the badge was directly linked to the content that was in the course. Thirdly, we designed a 5th badge to award to anyone who finished the course in its entirety. So there was proper motivation there for anyone who wanted to do the entire course. It wasn't compulsory, they could only just do one section if they wanted to. But anyone that does the entire course gets a 5th CPD champion badge. So the motivation was there as well to do the full course if they wanted. Also, another advantage to doing this was that we had full autonomy with those badges, so we were able to design them exactly how we wanted them. So they were far more beneficial, we felt, or more relatable to any potential employers when they're looking at them, as opposed to a basic attendance certificate that you get when you come to a conference like today's. And lastly, even though it's not one of the main motivations behind doing the badges, but for us it was a good added extra, it's a good branding and marketing tool as well. As you can see here, we have the LAI logo on it because the badges were sponsored by the LAI. But for your own institution, if you're using them, you can put your logo on there. This badge then gets shared on public platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter. So it's an added bonus as well that it's a marketing tool.
Now, for anyone that read the abstract in the little booklet, you'll see that we were planning to do a workshop on this section, but due to the restricted timings, we can't do the workshop, and we wanted to give you a hands-on experience of actually designing a digital open badge yourself. So we're failing, sorry. But always ones to adapt in the Western Regional section. What we've done instead is that we're going to talk you through the steps that we did in creating one of the badges for Rudaí 23. So we've actually supplied this handout. I gave it to one of the organisers to hand out to everybody, but you can pick it up on your way out. On this sheet is everything you need to think about when designing your open badge, and if indeed you even need an open badge for what you plan to do. So really you need to start with a pen and paper. Write down exactly what you think your badge should do. When you've done all that, you need to decide on what platform you're going to use. So we decided on using the Open Badge Factory. It's for many reasons. One, it's European-based, it's a flexible payment structure, and the platform itself is very adaptable to other platforms and plugins like Moodle or Blackboard. And it cost €120, and with the €120 you get to issue 10 badges in the year. And as Niamh said, the LAI actually sponsored that for us, so we put the logo onto the badge. So once you pay your money, get going. You log into the Open Badge Factory and you're hit with this page. These are the 5 badges we've created. Simply click. This is how easy it is to do it once you come up with the criteria. The technical side shouldn't put anyone off. Don't fear it. It's very easy. Click on Create New Badge, and you're brought to this page, and you're hit with the blank. Again, all of us librarians have done it. Just fill in the metadata, which you've already written. So this is actually the easy part. So designing is a 2-part process. You have to think about the visual, and you have to think about the criteria. With the criteria, you have to think, well, what does the badge earner need to do in order to earn this badge? What is the criteria? That's the essential part. When you are designing the criteria for your badge, it needs to be available on an online platform, such as a website or your Moodle page, sorry. And you need to make sure that that evidence is going to stay available online for the duration of the badge. So if you don't have a closing date on your badge, it needs to stay always up there. And that evidence can be a link to a conference you attended. It can be for a student a link to the grade or to the assignment that they completed. For Rudaí 23, what we decided is we asked each of our participants to write a reflective practice blog post, and it had to meet a certain criteria, and that was the evidence they needed. So here's one we created earlier. I'm actually just going to talk you through it so you get a sense for the language that we used. So in the name, Rudaí 23 Critical Thinker. Then the description. This badge relates to the Rudaí 23 modules on the topic of critical thinking, and then we explain Rudaí 23 is an online CPD course provided by the Western Regional section of the Library Association of Ireland and is credited by the Library Association of Ireland. Again, anybody wondering what is that about? Why did that person earn that badge? Click in here and it's very explanatory. Then in the criteria, we've said the recipient of this badge has demonstrated that they've engaged with the learning materials for the 4 modules in the critical thinking section of the Rudaí 23 online course. We've used the same template for each of the badges. We list the 4 modules in there, and then we've said, to earn this badge, participants completed tasks with the software tools for each module and published a blog post describing their experiences. The blog post demonstrated clear reflection on the use of tools in the context of the recipient's professional practice, and then we uploaded the visual. So, when designing your visual, you need to make sure that it's appealing. If it's not appealing, nobody's going to do it, and potential employers or managers need to have justification as to why their staff are going to do this. Make sure that the badge is nice and simple and clean, and if you can, include a logo, and if you can, include an icon, and try to make that icon representative of what the badge is about. The nitty-gritty, we used canva.com to create the badges, and we also found that designapp.io and iconsdb.com were excellent in helping you design these visuals, so you don't have to come up with it from scratch. Okay, so then when you issue the badge, Niamh showed you a similar one of this is what the participant receives. So you've gone to all that work. Well, you need to advertise it. So what we did is on the Rudaí 23 blog, the homepage, we put apply for it buttons on the homepage. So anyone who's just done all the work, they're like, well, how will I get my badge? Very simple. Click on one of these buttons and it'll bring you through where you apply for your badge. And of course, we advertised it on social media. When somebody applies for a badge, go back in to the Open Badge Factory and you can see there are your badges, who has applied for what. Click on Review Applicants and you get a list of all the people, all the badges that are pending. Then the moderator, we assigned all of our participants to moderators. So the moderator will go in, they'll click on a person. Here we've got Emmett Cohen. Emmett is actually one of our communications officers with Chris for the Western Regional section, so that's why I've chosen him here. So last week Emmett applied for his Critical Thinker badge. As evidence, Emmett supplied a URL to his blog post, so his moderator will click on that blog post, will read the reflective practice and see, well, does it match the criteria that we set out? So we established that this is the criteria that the reflective blog post would actually have to reach. We've put that on our frequently asked questions. We've given all participants that in a blog post, so they know what they have to do to get the blog. Or to get the badge, sorry. And then you decide, are you going to issue the badge, are you going to reject it, or return it for revision? Sometimes we do return them, but that could be just something to do with a problem with the URL. And then, from the other side of things, once you get your badge, you get an email saying you've just received a badge, you go in and you claim your badge. What are you going to do with it? So you set up an open badge passport. Each participant has a passport and all the badges they receive goes into it. So that's my personal passport. I've got 5 badges in there. Only one for Rudaí 23 so far, but we've been really busy in actually delivering the course that we haven't had time to take it ourselves. So I've only done the first 4 modules and I've received my badge, thankfully for that. But we have, just a little shout out here, we have until the 30th of April, so if anyone's considering on doing the course, there's still a bit of time. It can sit there and you can do nothing with it. But what's the point of doing all that work unless you're going to tell people, tell your employer, tell the social world that you've done it. So once I got my badge, of course, I tweeted it straight away. Yay, I'm delighted I've just got my badge. And as Niamh said, it's not just a visual. If you click on that, it'll bring you back to that metadata page, the criteria for earning the badge. I shared it on my LinkedIn page. It's very simple. You just click a button and it goes into your LinkedIn. And it goes into the bottom of your profile under certificates, and you can also share it with the group. So I shared it with the Western Regional group here. And then I actually put it on my blog site itself. I was going to take you through the live link, but that's just going to be complicated. So I'll leave you, go check out the blog yourself and click on it and you'll see what actually happens. But it just brings you back to that criteria again. And we just want to say thank you very much for that. But as Niamh has said, although this talk isn't exactly on Rudaí 23, it's on issuing the badges, we do want to take this opportunity to thank all of our contributors. There were 23 modules, and so many, as we look around the room here, so many of our contributors are sitting in the audience, and we just want to thank you so much because the course wouldn't have happened and we wouldn't have had that excellent standard without your contribution. And of course to the team, we've got Michelle Breen and Chris Mean, who's also on the Rudaí team sitting there. So thank you very much from both myself and Niamh. Thank you.